It's perhaps a historic day or a historic week in the making right here with Bitcoin right up against prior all-time highs after playing out, a couple $1,000 dump from the current $68,500 high. That's what I'm trying to say. But as we go over in today's video, there are several things that are on the verge of confirming tonight's daily closure, that in alignment with today's daily statistics do start to make a lot of sense for really, potentially making new all-time highs for Bitcoin in the next, 5 to 10 days, if that does indeed happen. So first things first, I'll bring you to the chart view right on over here. And we'll start off with a chart that we were actually looking at, I think, last week, just kind of as a general analysis, interesting chart. It's a pi cycle high and low chart. I'm more interested, obviously, in the high right here. And, of course, what I'm looking at, particularly in this instance, is this white moving average, which over time, from cycle to cycle, or from high to high, I should say, because I'm not a big fan of these cycles anymore, or cycles in that way. We do see that anytime that Bitcoin is broken above on a closing basis, that weekly, on a weekly time frame, the white moving average, that's when Bitcoin's gone absolutely fucking lunar. Of course, it doesn't necessarily mean that it goes absolutely lunar at exactly that moment, but over time, yes, that is, the general thing. And when I say close above it, I need to see an open and close above it. This was this was perhaps a comment that I forgot to mention, or perhaps I was misheard last time that I spoke about it, but needs to open and close above it. So for example, in this particular one right here, we do see that it actually does not open and close above the white moving average. It does close ever so slightly, does open ever so slightly below. But anytime that we have seen it open and close above, that's when the market's really gotten rocking to the upside. Again, same thing over here, closed above, but did not open and close above. Very, very important. And every time that we've seen that, Bitcoin's essentially gone on for the parabolic, like the real parabolic advance portion of its rally. The reason why I'm bringing it up right now is because Bitcoin's brushing up against it at this exact moment. So last week we were looking at it when it was, somewhere right around here. This week we are actually quite literally seeing Bitcoin test it. And perhaps that is, the impetus for this little short-term dump-olo that we've seen thus far. I would say that if you are looking for a pullback, this is probably the last of the Mohicans when it comes to, an area to maybe be looking for one, I suppose, technically speaking, as Bitcoin does wick off a little bit from it. But ultimately, anytime that Bitcoin does test it, it kind of... usually bulldozes right through. And when you do start to get those open and closures above, usually you retest it, but after that, it's game on to the upside. Same thing over here, opens and close above it. And then of course, retest it right here, boom, big move to the upside, retest, boom, big move. Again, same thing over here. Starting off this one, open and close above it, boom, retest, boom, big moves to the upside, to and from there. So in this case, it is currently at 67,735, which, a couple months ago would seem like a big move. Now, as Bitcoin does enter into a period of extreme high volatility, I feel like we see $1,000 move over the course of less than an hour, almost regularly now, both the upside and the downside. So in this case, again, it's on a weekly closing basis, but the number is 67,735. That is very important. That is very fucking important because, as we'll get to soon, there are many implications for both today's statistics or today's daily statistics, and then also the way that the 5 day is going to close. So I think it would be best first to go over let's go over the 5 day closure first. Okay, so the 5 day HPDR bands, again, wicking off the top side of the 78.6% level. What do I put more weight on? The HPDR bands or the pi cycle derp indicator over here? HPDR bands, obviously, fucking of course. It's based off of, based off of like real mathematics and historical returns, and that, in my experience, matters a lot more than just a simple moving average. But they are playing hand in hand, which is good Confluence, of course. And you can see that Bitcoin did wick off the top of it thus far. It is currently at 69,000, great number, or sorry, actually not, 68,975. And is closing tonight. If Bitcoin does close above that tonight, I would expect a big move into the $70,000 territory before any sort of a corrective dump, if you see anything like that happen. And of course, if Bitcoin even closes anywhere remotely close to it, let's say above $67,000 by end of today, it will set up the next 5-day to potentially break it as well. So I'd be able to make the same sort of assessment for that period too. But for right now, yeah, find a little bit of a sell-off right there, completely fine. Basically, Bitcoin in a powerful position, especially as long as it's above the 61.8 level on the 5-day, which is 58,600. So it's got a little bit of a buffer zone there, of course. If we go down to the daily, even the daily 78.6 level, which Bitcoin did just kind of wick off to the downside, did trade actually decently below it, to be fair, could be a good indication of a short-term pullback if Bitcoin does close above it tonight. Again, that is coming in at 66,600. But again, top side right here, 88.3, 70,650. That's probably the range for today. Why do I say that? Because when we go over here to our daily statistics, Tuesday is the most likely day in Bitcoin's history to close positively. Out of all Bitcoin dailies on Tuesdays, 42% have closed positively, which is actually decently higher above any other day, except for Friday. Friday is also decently bullish, for an average return of 2% from the open in terms of the positive gainers. In terms of the negative days, it has lost an average of 1%. So in terms of likelihood right here, if Bitcoin were to add 2% from that open, where would that put Bitcoin? That would put Bitcoin at, holy shit, 69,750. That number sounds really familiar, doesn't it? Because that is the top side of the 5-day right here. It's actually, it's literally almost exactly where the top side of the 5-day time frame is right there. And also that would put Bitcoin on a daily closing basis above the top side of the long white moving average right here. But again, we need to judge this one on a weekly time frame. This one closing above on a daily, is obviously going to favor the BULAs, but it's not like doesn't really do a whole hell of a lot, to be fair. But it does put the BULAs in a pretty powerful position, I would say, as well. And that is coming at 67,700 again. So looking at the daily sticks, kind of putting all the puzzle pieces in place, I do think that it's a lot more likely that Bitcoin, it's not my opinion that it's more likely. It quite literally is more likely based off of the statistics right here. So I do think that does deserve a little bit of a warrant. Also from yesterday's setup, which, where did I put this one? Let me find it really, really quickly here. I have all these new, I think it was this one right here. We're looking at this 4-hour setup yesterday. I might have fucked it up though, because I was playing around with a new setup. Let's see if it saved it. No, it was on a different chart. Damn it all to hell. I done goofed this one up, I think. Let's see. Can I actually figure it out really, really quickly here? No, that's not going to work. But maybe. I remember us trading on a bunch of weird days. All right, well, the setup that we were looking at yesterday, which I actually don't have right here, unfortunately. I have a completely different one based off of a 13-minute time frame. That obviously already played out, so... Well, it's going to be fun to talk about that, but it looks like I don't have it on my chart, unfortunately. Anyways, that's probably actually kind of a good place to be leaving off on today's video. Maybe we just very quickly revisit daily stochastic momentum. I'm curious where the pivots are as of right now. Where's my care pack? Oh, yes, it's up here. That's right. I favorited it. Okay, good. Pulled up nice and fast. And we can see that the daily... Jesus Christ, man. Daily stochastic momentum will actually turn down if today closes below 68,800. What does that imply? And it actually will have some potential divergence being put in there as well. That's on CME, by the way, which is trading at... okay, that can't be right. But right now it's trading at 67,600. I think it's just on a delay for, as of right now. But if Bitcoin does close above 68.7, I mean, that's basically all-time highs anyways. Don't need me to tell you that very likely implies new all-time highs. Anyways, let's talk about what would happen if Bitcoin does close above and make new all-time highs. What's the most likely thing to happen if we see something like that? Well, at that point, you're very likely going to see a run into probably like the middle, somewhere around like 73 to 75,000 bucks before a potential, before like a potential, actual pullback. realistically, when things break their all-time highs, it's usually an explosive move that overshoots and then comes back down, has a retest, whether it's a prior all-time high, maybe it's a little bit below the prior all-time high, something like that. That's usually the violent and scary portion of it. And then, more often than not, we'll pick up from there. But in this case, the weekly has a lot of room. I mean, the top side of the 78.6 level is fucking $79,000. Like, the problem with trying to guess where tops are in a market like this is that it's not very fucking wise, because they overshoot a lot when things are extremely volatile. I mean, it can really overshoot quite a fair bit. So I don't think that that's the wise portion to be looking for. I think, if you're going to be looking for something, it's looking for one of those dumps into a higher low. That's really the idea. Get on the same side of the trend. Don't fight the fucking trend. It's just, it's like the old saying goes, picking up pennies in front of a rolling steam train that's about to absolutely demolish your guts. It's like that fucking meme, where the train is smashing into the mountain, smashing into like this solid rock mountain, and then it gets right through, and then blood comes out, exactly like that. And that could be you as well. And that's where I'll leave off on this stream. This is being recorded during a live stream, which you can join on a weekly basis. And with that said, I want to wish you all the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully next time.